My name is Sam, and in our sunny little house on Maple Street live three enormous German shepherds named Titan, Echo, and Luna, along with my endlessly curious 2-year-old daughter, Maya. People often gasp when they see the size of our dogs because each one weighs more than an adult and can reach the kitchen counter without standing on tiptoes. Yet, from the day Maya was born, those gentle giants decided she was their tiny pack leader, and they have followed her every giggle ever since. We never trained them to become babysitters, but something in their loyal hearts clicked the moment Maya grasped Titan's whiskers and smiled. Luna sprawls beside the crib each night, her ears twitching at every sigh like built-in radar, while Echo patrols the hallway like a silent, shadowy, furry guard. If Maya drops a toy, Titan lifts it with his velvet mouth and places it back in her lap with the care of a librarian shelving a rare book. At breakfast, 3 black and tan noses peek above the table, not begging for food, but checking that Maya is chewing slowly and safely. When she babbles new words, the dogs tilt their heads in perfect sync, as if trying to puzzle out her secret language. Friends tease that we have hired a canine security team, but we just call it family. Each morning begins with Maya throwing her blanket over Titan like a superhero cape, starting the first parade of the day. The dogs march beside her as she toddles through the hallway, their tails sweeping the floor like soft brooms. If she wobbles, Luna noses under her arm to steady her before we can even blink. Echo prefers to walk a half step behind, ready to catch her like a pillow if she tumbles backward. The bond feels ancient, like something written in invisible ink between children and faithful dogs long before our time. Even the mail carrier admires the sight, saying it reminds him of knights guarding a tiny queen in pink polka dots. Sometimes I wonder if Maya realizes that most toddlers move without such a furry entourage. When the sun pours through the window, the 4 of them sprawl on the living room rug, forming a living mosaic of tans, golds, and soft baby pink. Maya traces the dog's markings with her finger, learning colors and shapes on living lessons that wag their tails. In return, the dogs give her warmth, courage, and a chorus of steady heartbeats she can lean on. Watching them together, I understand that love needs no words and often walks on 4 paws. One breezy Saturday morning, I decided it was time for Maya's first backyard picnic, complete with a tiny blanket and homemade blueberry muffins. As soon as I laid the blanket, Titan circled it twice, sniffing the grass for ants and stray twigs like a meticulous groundskeeper. Echo stationed himself beside the fence, his ears swiveling toward every distant bark or passing bicycle bell. Luna took a seat opposite Maya, her big brown eyes reflecting the sky like polished marbles. Maya squealed with delight and waved a muffin crumb like it was a royal decree, and all 3 dogs sat in perfect attention. She broke the crumb into 3 pieces, touching each nose in turn, and the dogs accepted the offerings with tongues gentler than feathers. I snapped photos, amused that my toddler could command such order without a single spoken command. Suddenly a gust of wind tipped Maya's sippy cup, sending bright red juice cascading toward her white dress. Titan lunged forward and shoved the cup upright with his forehead, preventing a sticky disaster that would have sent Maya into tears. Echo then nudged the dress away from the spreading puddle, while Luna grabbed a corner of the blanket in her teeth and folded it over the spill. By the time I rushed over with paper towels, the emergency response team had already solved the crisis. Maya giggled and clapped, thinking it was a game, while the dogs wagged as though they had just won trophies. I realized then that their nannying instincts were not limited to guarding doors. They included liquid management and laundry preservation. After the picnic, Maya toddled toward the sandbox, and Titan paced beside her like a bodyguard on duty at a celebrity gala. When she tried to climb the slide ladder, Echo braced his broad back against the side, forming a living guardrail. Maya slid down squealing, landing gently against Luna's cushioned flank, which she treated like the comfiest beanbag chair. Neighbors watching over the fence whispered that it looked like a choreographed circus act, but I knew it was pure instinct wrapped in fur. The morning breeze carried laughter, barks, and the soft rustle of leaves, blending into a melody that felt like childhood should. As clouds drifted overhead, the 4 companions traced shapes together, Maya pointing at dragons and dogs barking at wobbling kites. By lunchtime, they all fell asleep in a heap under the oak tree, a living statue of trust bathed in dappled golden light. A few weeks later, Maya discovered building blocks, and the living room floor became a colorful maze of towers and bridges. Titan lay beside her, acting as a warm wall, his breath ruffling her curls each time she leaned back to examine her work. Echo sat at the edge of the carpet, eyes darting between Maya's hands and the pieces like a safety inspector. Luna fetched stray blocks that rolled beneath the sofa, scooting them back with gentle nudges so none were ever lost. I stepped into the kitchen to prepare lunch, keeping the scene in my peripheral vision, trusting the canine watch team. Suddenly, Maya gasped, her tiny hand grasping her throat after she tried to taste a round blue block that looked suspiciously like candy. Before my heart could even leap, Titan barked a single sharp note, a sound we rarely heard indoors, and it shot through me like a flare. Echo sprang forward and tilted Maya over his thick foreleg, while Luna barked toward me, her voice urgent yet controlled. That synchronized alarm yanked me back faster than any baby monitor could, and I rushed in to scoop Maya into my arms. The block tumbled harmlessly onto the rug, and Maya coughed twice before breaking into relieved tears that mirrored my own. I hugged her tightly while thanking the dogs for their heroic teamwork, realizing that they had rehearsed this drill in their hearts all along. Once the danger passed, Titan licked away Maya's tears with a tenderness that erased her fear faster than any lullaby. Echo trotted to the toy bin and nudged forward a plush dinosaur, a clear trade offer for the forbidden block. Maya accepted the dinosaur, giggling as she patted the dog's head, her fright forgotten like a cloud past the sun. I gathered every small piece into a sealed box, promising extra vigilance, yet feeling calmer knowing the furry guardians were on duty. That evening we held a family movie night, and the dogs flanked Maya like theater seats that wagged during exciting scenes. She offered popcorn to Titan, who gently refused, preferring instead to rest his chin on her knee as if savoring her laughter. Throughout the film, whenever Maya shifted or yawned, Echo adjusted his position to keep her centered and snug. Luna meanwhile watched the doorway, eyes half closed yet alert, proving that even in relaxation mode, the shepherds never truly clocked out. As credits rolled, Maya whispered a sleepy good night to each dog, and they followed her to bed, resuming their silent watch under the soft glow of the nightlight. Spring turned into summer, bringing Maya's new love for the garden hose, which she believed was a magic wand for rainbows. On the first scorching afternoon, I set up a toddler splash pad in the yard, expecting squeals and mud pies. The shepherds bounded around us, their tongues lolling and tails carving happy arcs through the air. As water sprayed upward, Titan positioned himself behind Maya like a sturdy shield, ready to block any wild jet that might hit her face. Luna chased shimmering droplets, but she always paused to glance back and confirm Maya was laughing, not coughing. Echo trotted along the perimeter, instincts telling him that every fence post was a checkpoint. When Maya slipped on the wet grass, Titan slid beneath her, turning what could have been a hard fall into a gentle ride down his sturdy back. She giggled, calling him her water slide, and the nickname stuck so firmly that even neighbors began using it. The real test came when a hose nozzle popped loose, sending a high-pressure spray straight toward Maya like a rogue fire hose. In a heartbeat, Echo leapt against the hose, pinning it beneath his paw, while Luna nudged Maya behind Titan's broad chest. I sprinted over to shut the water off, but the dogs had already diverted the stream, soaking themselves instead of the toddler. Their fur dripped like soaked blankets, yet their eyes sparkled with triumph, proud of another mission accomplished. After the chaos, Maya sat in the sun to dry, while the dogs lounged like three wet statues around her. She experimented with draping tiny towels over their heads, declaring them royal bathrobes, and the dogs endured the ceremony with saintly patience. To reward them, I brought out frozen carrot sticks, a safe treat they adored, and Maya handed each one out like medals of bravery. Titan crunches proudly, Echo took his with a polite nod, and Luna held hers tenderly, waiting until Maya cheered before biting. The afternoon light painted shadows, blending the shapes of one child and three dogs into a single moving silhouette. I realized then that these shepherds weren't just protectors. They were also co-authors of Maya's happiest memories. The sound of cicadas rose as the sun dipped, and the four companions sat quietly, watching pink clouds melt into lavender twilight. When the first star appeared, Maya pointed upward, and the dogs followed her gaze, as if making silent. As Maya's third birthday approached, we planned a picnic at Riverside Park, hoping to celebrate beneath swaying willows and flying kites. The minute we opened the car doors, Titan hopped out first, scanning the field like a captain surveying unknown shores. Echo waited for Maya to climb down the booster seat, then walked beside her small steps with patient precision. Luna carried the picnic basket handle in her mouth, ears perked and tail wagging at a rate that could power a small fan. Children from nearby families rushed over, intrigued by the sight of three giant shepherds acting like trained butlers. We welcomed them, yet made sure to keep Maya centered inside the canine triangle, which the dogs formed naturally. A playful golden retriever came barreling toward our blanket, dragging a kite string behind him like a runaway ribbon. The kite swooped low and startled Maya, but before tears surfaced, Titan stepped between her and the fluttering shape, barking once in warning. The retriever's owner apologized and reclaimed the kite, while Luna distracted Maya with a plush duck that squeaked when squeezed. Echo meanwhile sniffed the air, catching the scent of charcoal grills and distant river water, mapping every sound like a living radar. When we lit birthday candles on a tiny cupcake, the dogs sat perfectly still, their eyes reflecting the flickering flames like polished coins. Maya made a wish so softly I couldn't hear, but each dog leaned closer as though they understood and wanted to help it come true. After cake, we ventured to the playground, and Titan trotted ahead to test each bridge plank on the jungle gym. Echo waited at the bottom of the slide, front paws planted, ready to serve as a living cushion if needed. Luna stayed glued to Maya's side on the swing, her nose brushing the toddler's shoe tips on every pass. A passerby marveled that the dogs took turns like human babysitters, and I smiled, feeling grateful beyond words. The afternoon sun shimmered off the river, and the dogs' reflections danced in the ripples beside Maya's own. When a distant siren wailed, the shepherds stiffened but quickly relaxed after confirming no threat approached their tiny charge. Before leaving, Maya hugged each dog and whispered thanks for the best party ever, even though balloons had popped and frosting smeared. On the drive home, Maya fell asleep between Titan and Luna, while Echo rested his head on the seat, all of them content in shared silence. Not long after the picnic, Maya surprised us by sprinting across the hallway without wobbling, announcing she was now a big girl who could run. Her newfound speed triggered equal parts pride and panic, but the dogs adjusted like seasoned coaches preparing for a faster game. Titan positioned himself a half stride ahead, matching her pace flawlessly so she never outran his safety zone. Luna trailed just behind, her presence a warm cushion in case Maya suddenly stopped. Echo darted along the sides, checking corners and doorways like a hall monitor, wearing invisible badges. One rainy afternoon, Maya invented an indoor racetrack, using couch pillows as checkpoints and dog biscuits as finish line prizes. The dogs understood the rules instantly. They only accepted the biscuit after ensuring Maya touched each pillow in order. When she bragged about her speed, Titan barked twice, which she interpreted as applause, boosting her confidence sky high. Later that week came Maya's first day of preschool, and we worried how the shepherds would cope without their little leader. As I strapped Maya into her car seat, Titan let out a low whine, while Echo placed a paw on the door and Luna rested her head on Maya's lap. The teacher allowed a brief meet and greet, so the dogs escorted Maya to the classroom door, tails wagging like banners in a friendly parade. Other children gasped, then giggled when Titan executed a perfect sit-stay, like a plush statue carved from loyalty itself. Echo gently nudged Maya forward, almost bowing to the teacher, while Luna placed a soft kiss on Maya's hand as farewell. Watching them leave was like watching 3 moons pulled away from their planet, each step heavier than the last. At home, the dogs waited by the window, ears pricking at every engine, every footstep, every voice that might bring their girl back. When the school van finally arrived, they burst into happy spins, and Maya erupted in a cheer loud enough to match their barking. That reunion felt electric, paws drumming the floor, squeals echoing off walls, and a hug pile so dense it could barely fit in the doorway. Maya showed them a paper star stamped with "Good Listener," and the dogs sniffed it as though it were a medal of honor for the whole pack. That night, as she drifted to sleep, Maya whispered, "Best friends forever," and Three Tails thumped the rug in gentle reply. I closed the bedroom door, knowing those words were promises the dogs had already carved into their big, beating hearts. Seasons rolled by, and though Maya grew taller and louder, the shepherd's devotion never shrank. They taught her lessons no textbook shows. Kindness outweighs muscle, patience calms fear, and loyalty shines brightest. When storms rattled windows, Titan pressed against her side, proving that courage sometimes comes wrapped in fur. Echo's steady eyes showed her how to read unspoken feelings, teaching empathy with every wag and tilt of his head. Luna's gentle nudges reminded her that small acts, like sharing toys or wiping tears, can shape entire days. Together they played shadow tag at dusk, Maya chasing their stretched shapes across the grass until giggles stole her breath and stars blinked awake overhead. They practiced quiet listening on summer nights, counting crickets and distant train whistles, a meditation disguised as fun. By the time Maya could spell her own name, she was also fluent in the silent language of ears, tails, and playful paws, and she used it to comfort friends who felt sad, proving kindness is a language too. Neighborhood kids asked why she never seemed lonely, and she answered, "Because my brothers and sister have 4 legs." At the pet parade, Maya marched with a trio, tiny hand holding 3 slack leashes full of trust. Judges gave them a ribbon for most harmonious team, but Maya's proud speech thanking her dogs meant more. The dogs sat like marble guardians, soaking in her words while the crowd cheered. I realized then that while we thought we raised dogs to protect our child, they'd also been raising her. Their lessons echoed in her polite hellos, her fearless climbs, her gentle touch with younger kids and smaller pets. One day, she will run faster than any shepherd can follow, yet she will carry their wisdom like a compass. She will recall Titan's bravery, Echo's vigilance, and Luna's gentleness as guiding stars for choices ahead. And somewhere, under a new roof, the scrape of paws will return in her dreams, reminding her of the giants. For now, I cherish every sunrise that paints 4 dog shadows and one tiny silhouette across the kitchen floor. Those shadows tell a story better than any bedtime tale. That love can be tall and furry and can walk beside a child until she stands strong on her own. And every night, as I switch off the light, I hear 3 gentle sighs settling around Maya, proof that some guardians don't need capes or crowns, just loyal hearts and steady paws.